Hey, welcome back to the Pastoral Finance Podcast. I'm Todd Hukill, and this is episode 2. Today, we're talking about something most of us in ministry have either felt, worried about, or maybe even quietly avoided: retirement. I know just the word can bring up a lot. It can bring up feelings of guilt, confusion, maybe a little panic. For a lot of pastors, it's one of those things we know we should think about, but we're not sure how, when, or honestly if we can. So this isn't a lecture, and there are no complicated formulas I'm going to give you. Just you and me, coffee cup kind of stuff, just a little talk. So let me tell you about a lunch I had a little while back. It wasn't anything fancy. It was one of those minister luncheons where a room full of faithful leaders are grabbing a meal and catching up. I ended up sitting next to a pastor I kind of knew a little bit, but not real well. But midway through, he leans over and he says, "Hey, I've been reading some of your blog posts." And he thanks me. And then he says, "Honestly, I've been feeding them to my board. We've never really talked about retirement in my church. And I think they just assume I'm going to be there until I drop." And then he looked down at his plate. And he says, "I'd love to hand this off to a younger leader someday, but I can't. I'd be leaving with nothing, and I can't do that to my wife." Kind of stuck with me, because this isn't a man who wasted his life. He'd been faithful. He's still showing up, and he's still carrying the weight of his congregation. But underneath, there's that quiet fear so many leaders have every day. I don't know if I can stop, even when I need to. On the complete other end, I remember a youth pastor, early 30s, bivocational, small church, small town. He says, "Todd, I know retirement matters. I want to be wise. But we've got student loans. We're still renting. Our cars are on its last legs. Honestly, I'm just trying to survive this month." No excuse, just reality. And that's what makes this tricky. Whether you're 32 or 62, there are real reasons retirement keeps getting pushed to the background. We're focused on people, on Sundays, on sermons, on hospital visits, and by the time we finally get a quiet minute, it's easier to put it off one more day. Let's be honest about something. Most of us didn't get into ministry thinking about retirement accounts. We got into it because we love people, because we felt called, because we want to give our lives to something that matters. And for a lot of us, especially in smaller or bivocational roles, money has always been tight. So we're not thinking about 30 years out. We're thinking about Sunday and next month's bills. But here's the tension. Even the most called, committed pastor still gets older. Faithful ministry doesn't protect your knees, lower your medical bills, or keep you from being worn out in your 60s while you're still working like you're 35. It catches up to all of us, whether we plan for it or not. If you're sitting there thinking, "Todd, I barely saved a thing," I want you to hear me. You're not too late, but you do have to stop waiting for the perfect moment. You don't need a windfall. You don't need a raise. You just need to start moving. Here's the line I want you to leave you with. You don't have to do everything right now, but you do have to do something. Let me give you a few somethings. If you've got $50 a month that you can spare, start there. Maybe it's opening up a Roth IRA, contributing to a 403b, looking into an HSA. It matters less what it is than that you're moving. You don't have to make the perfect decision, just a faithful one. Second, use your housing allowance wisely. This is one of the unique benefits we have in ministry. While you're working, it lowers your taxable income, and here's the part most people miss. If your retirement account is set up the right way, some of those distributions in retirement can still qualify for housing allowance treatment. That's a big deal. And it's also one of those areas where you really want someone who knows clergy tax law in your corner. We'll go deep into that in a future episode. Third, talk to your spouse. Doesn't have to be scary. Pour the coffee, sit down, and just say, "I want us to get on the same page. What's one move we could make together?" One question opens the whole door. And finally, think about your long game. You may not want to leave ministry completely, and that's awesome. But wouldn't it be something to choose what that looks like instead of being forced to keep going because of money? That's the goal, freedom. Let me reframe something because I think a lot of pastors get hung up here. Retirement, it's not about luxury. It's not about escape. It's about margin. And margin is what gives you room to keep saying yes to the things that matter most. God isn't asking you to prove anything by grinding until you collapse. He's asking you to be faithful, to steward your life, to finish well. And there's something deeply spiritual about preparing ahead. It's a quiet way of saying, God, I trust you to provide, and I'm going to prepare like you meant it when you told me to count the cost. You don't have to be perfect. You just need to be present, and that includes being present with your future. Here's what I want you to carry more than anything else from this episode. Retirement's not a reward. It's not a failure, and it's not the end of your calling. It's just another season of stewardship. I know a pastor who stepped out of full-time ministry at 68, not because he was tired of preaching. He stepped out so he could mentor younger leaders, teach one class a week at a Bible college, and spend more time with his grandkids. He didn't escape ministry, he redeployed it. And he did it with more freedom, more clarity, and a lot less financial fear. And that's what I want for you. So whether you're just getting started or you've been at this for decades and you feel stuck, hear this. You're not too late, but you do need to start. So let this episode be the one that nudges you to make one small faithful move. Not because you're chasing wealth, because you want to finish well, because your family matters, your legacy matters, and God isn't done using you, even in the years ahead. So here's your homework. Ask yourself one question. What's one thing I can do this week to begin planning for my future faithfully and with peace? Then go do that thing. Open the conversation, schedule the review, reach out to a mentor. It doesn't have to be massive. It just has to be a start. And if you need help knowing where to begin, again, I've got a growing library of tools over at pastoralfinance.com. Real help, clear steps, no guilt. If this meant something to you, would you leave a review or share it with another pastor who needs to hear about it? Quick reminder before we go, this show is for education and encouragement, not personalized financial or tax advice. Before you act on anything, talk it through with a qualified professional who knows clergy taxes and your situation. Hey, thanks for spending this time with me today. I'm proud of you for facing this head on. I'll see you next time.